Hello everyone and welcome back to another Figurehead Reviews video, and today we are looking at the Articulated Icons, the Feudal series, Solitaire, the Modern Ninja. Pretty basic packaging. We have Solitaire here in the front window box. On the side we get a very long read-up. I'm not going to read it this time, guys. I'll post it down in the description below. And then we have, of course, here some artwork on the side. Now, up here we have a little bit more of a read-up, just kind of explaining the whole Feudal series concept, and then we have the other figures and the accessory packs available in the Feudal series wave. And there's actually no UPC code on this because this is something that the Whoosh has made, and it was a Kickstarter project, and I think it's pretty cool. This is definitely one of the more popular figures in the series. But let's go ahead and get Solitaire open and take a look at him and the rest of the accessories that come with him. And here is Solitaire out of the packaging with his pistol, with the silencer, the green goggles, and then his sword accessories attached. And, you know, it's a great looking figure, and I love the concept, but I'm going to tell you right out of the gate, there's a couple of concerns that I have with the figure. It seems to be a little spongy in some of the joints and a little loose in some of the other joints. I don't know if this is an overall build quality issue or if it's just maybe a problem that I'm having with mine, but I'll kind of go into some of those issues once we do closer looks at articulation and things like that. For the moment, let's go ahead and get a closer look at the accessories that come with Solitaire, and then we'll get a closer look at Solitaire himself. So looking first at the pistol that comes with Solitaire, we can see it's pretty plain looking, you know, not a whole lot going on with it. They do keep the trigger out of it, which I imagine is meant to be able to fit in the trigger finger. Got a port in the front there. You pop in the silencer, and then you do have a silenced pistol. So that is pretty cool. I love that we get the silenced pistol because that's definitely something that you would think of with a assassin. So very cool. And then he does have a holster here that the gun, there we go, the gun can fit into, and then it even has a pocket for the silencer as well. So you can go ahead and pop the silencer down in there as well. I'm not going to put it all the way down in there because I'm not sure how hard it is to get out, but it looks like it does have a hole at the bottom. So if you are putting the silencer in with that port, it should go in all the way. So I'm just going to keep it out for now. He does come with as well, of course, his swords, which do have the sheaths with them. One interesting thing is these can actually slide out so that you can have a separate sword and sheath if you wanted to have him maybe doing some poses where he's you know, holding the sheath as opposed to that being set up on there. And of course you can kind of alternate, like right now this goes into the port. I have it set up for the port in his back. So this would have him drawing with his left hand, but if I wanted to switch him around, I could and have it to where he's drawing with his right hand. He also has this port up here. I thought it was too small at first to be able to fit the peg, but with just a little extra push, let's see, well, it does fit. I'm kind of having a hard time getting it to line up right now. There we go, started it in there. So it will feel tight, but there we go. So it does feel tight, but it does get in there quite snugly, and then you can have his swords set up like that. And then last, he does come with two pair of goggles, which I would imagine are meant to be night vision or some sort of tactical goggles. It is made out of a very flexible material, and then for that, all you have to do is just pop that right over his head and slide it down. And there you go. And now he's got his night vision goggles on. And like I said, you can pop on either one. They're the same, just painted different. So pretty cool accessories. He does also have, just as far as, you know, he's got like this harness that is a flexible material, which is removable. All you gotta do is probably pop off an arm or something. He's got this little neck scarf. He's got these little bands on his arms here. So there's a couple pieces that are removable if you wanted to go for a more plain look. The belt, however, is not. The belt is molded in, and then these flexible pieces are basically glued to the side. So the belt does stay on there. It does not come off. So starting first here, taking a look at the head sculpt, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard looking. He's got the mask on, so there's not a whole lot of detail necessary. I honestly wasn't expecting the eyes to look like this when I first got them, but that's kind of my own fault because I just didn't look at the artwork and on the website close enough, because he definitely has those eyes on all the promo shots that I saw anyway. So I just wasn't expecting it. I didn't realize we were going for kind of a, I don't know, with eyes like that, I guess he seems almost supernatural. But you got some dry brushing there over the mask, which I think came out great, and it helps to just accentuate some of the details and kind of make it, pop a little bit better. The skull painting, I'm not thrilled with. If we look at the promo art, you can see that the teeth are definitely very well defined, and that seems to be the biggest thing lacking on the actual figure, is those teeth. Definitely, they didn't really come out. I got a toothless skull for the most part. I mean, you can still kind of tell what it's meant to be, but yeah, that's kind of a bummer that the paint there on that one didn't really live up to the box art. As we continue down, you can see that dry brushing continues throughout the figure, and I think that's a really cool choice, because it does really help make a lot of the detail of the figure just kind of pop a bit more. Now, as I'm looking at him on screen here for the first time, didn't really look at him up close, but I can kind of see, though, the dry brushing on the upper torso doesn't seem to match the dry brushing color on the rest of the figure. It's almost I don't know, it's like a shade of greenish or olive compared to almost the gray or blue on the rest of the figure. So that's an interesting, yeah, I just noticed that. And I noticed they actually sculpted a belly button on him, so he is wearing one tight suit for that to be happening. Realistically, it's probably just that this is the same body mold for some of the shirtless figures that they have in their line. But the rest of the mold came out looking decent. Very slender figure, I will definitely say that. The pants came out, and actually these kind of have that olive color similar to the top. Yeah. But the pants came out, I think, looking good. They're well detailed, and that dry brushing, again, really helps accentuate some of those details in the pants. Just, I mean, you can see all the creases and everything in it, so I think that's great. Boots came out looking good. He's got the sneaky ninja, little toe thing there you always see. One thing I'm not thrilled on is his hands. When I was first posing him, he does not actually have a trigger finger. I mean, he does. You can kind of see that finger sticks out more, but it doesn't separate at all, so that when you put the gun in there, and I'll show you here real quick, when you put the gun in his hand, he doesn't actually grab it. Now, I'm probably just going to take a knife and cut that out like I did with some of my other figures, like my Punisher figure, and I'll get it to where he has a trigger finger, but yeah, that seems like an oversight on here. I kind of touched on some of the modular features, and these guys are meant to be very interchangeable, and you can see his bicep just popped off pretty easy there, but you can actually, let's see if I can get it back on real quick. There we go. And if I carefully grab up top again and just kind of wiggle it free, and you can see the arm will pop off as well. And they do sell accessories for different arms, like sleeveless arms and things like that. And when we look at the articulation, I'm going to kind of explain why that's sort of good and bad that we get some of that modular function. But with that being said, let's go ahead and actually jump into the articulation and take a look at it. So real quick, taking a look at the scale here, we can see that Solitaire comes in pretty much right at that 6-inch mark, which is great for Marvel Legends and of course any other 1/12 scale figures that you want to include him with. Looking at the articulation, it's going to be very similar to your Marvel Legends articulations in a lot of ways. So your down and up on the head are very good. He's got the same neck hinge that you find with Marvel Legends, and the side-to-side motion works just fine. His arms are where it started getting kind of tricky, and not so much in how it poses, but one thing you want to be careful of, because these are made to be so modular, like as I would move the arm, it was very little pressure for things like the bicep to come off. If you grab, let's see if I can get that back on. It's actually not that hard to get back on, but it just seems to be right now. Come on. There we go. If you actually grab up at the shoulder and kind of do some work on that, then you'll be able to get the shoulder off as well. I'm starting to pull the bicep though. My hands are a little slippery today, it looks like, but you can get it off at the shoulder as well. But you can see again how that arm just kind of comes off. Now, one downside to that is right there, you kind of saw it. Look at that. I have a very, very loose joints right at that bicep. And that actually goes for both arms. Both arms, he can't even hold his sword in any position because this is how bad it is without anything in his hands. It is terrible when he's trying to hold a sword or something. But I mean, the articulation is good. He's got full swivel and everything there. He's got the bicep swivel. He's got the double jointed elbows. The hands are also kind of unique in that every time I've been trying to pose something, my hands have been super loose, so they've just been popping off of the ball joint. And, that happens when I try to adjust them. You got some decent articulation. This ball joint does kind of have a similar hinge to a Marvel Legends, where it can kind of position around and whatnot, but it definitely has a good range of motion. I've been able to get him into some pretty decent poses for the most part. It's just, yeah, that is really a bummer. I mean, yeah, look at that. Terrible. His ab crunch is actually really cool. So it's a pretty deep ab crunch and actually pretty far back, with the exception that you do get that little gappage there. But the really cool thing about this ab crunch is that it swivels as well. So you can actually have an ab crunch and a turn, or something like if he's dodging a bullet or something. So you can get some twist in addition to the ab crunch, and he still has waist rotation as well. So that is pretty cool. I do like that. The other issue that I've had, these are very stiff joints. What I found, if we watch how his leg snaps kind of back into place, I've been able to get it to stay up, but you can see they're very, very stiff and want to spring back into other positions. It's a very flexible joint. I mean, look at that. That is great. And as far as like bringing it up and around, you can get some really good high poses out of it. But with mine, it's a little gummy, so I'm probably just going to have to kind of work on that. Has the upper thigh cut there, which works fine. Double jointed knee. Has a boot rotation there, and then he does have plenty of pivot and everything in the ankle. And those joints don't feel too bad, other than, like I say, the springiness of some of the leg joints and the floppiness of this. I'm going to go ahead and try some different tricks to help stiffen up those joints. But it is kind of a bummer right now because I can't really get him in too many poses because, like I said, every time he holds something, it just falls to the side. And just for a real quick size comparison, here is Solitaire standing next to the standard Bucky cap mold of Daredevil and the Walmart exclusive Thanos. So you can kind of see how he scales up to some of the larger Build-A-Figure scale Marvel Legends, and of course the Bucky cap, definitely one of the most popular ones out there. So you can see he scales very nicely with the Marvel Legends. Definitely a more slender figure than even the Bucky cap. Little bit shorter by a hair. But I think he's going to scale very nicely with the Marvel Legends figures and will work out well for some background character, if you're ever doing any photo shots and stuff like that. And I know because it was one of the things that I wanted to see, let's take a look here, Solitaire, with some of the Marauders Gunrunners weapons. So we have here the sniper rifle. I don't know what this actually weapon is called, but you can see with that articulation, you can actually get some really good poses of him holding some of these weapons. I know somebody's going to critique me for how the scope is on there, but yeah, that's definitely very cool. I mean, you can get, again, some very nice articulation when he's holding it up. Right now, with my joints being so loose, it's kind of just balanced there through pressure on the two pieces, but very, very cool. Like I said, definitely some great poses that you can get with him holding, some of these different Marauders weapons. So we'll take a look at a few of the other ones here real quick and see how he looks with those. Yeah, here he is holding one of the assault rifles, and I was trying to get him into some other poses, holding it up to his shoulder, but I was just having too much problems with my loose joints. But again, you can see that you can get really good flexibility. Surprisingly, even though he doesn't have butterfly joints, you can get some really good flexibility with him holding onto these weapons. Again, I mentioned I'm going to cut a trigger finger into him on this side. This one did open up a little bit with the trigger finger. Yeah, so that's at least cool. But yeah, you can see, look at that, the weight, yeah. But he can hold these Marauders weapons quite well, and they scale really well with him. If you want to do a heavier weapon here. And again, I'll get that trigger finger at some point, but again, they scale really well with him. The pistols I didn't really care for with him. He doesn't hold them very well right now because, again, that trigger finger acting up. And I think I'm going to cut the triggers off of the Marauders ones anyway because they seem to get in the way. But the pistol that he comes with, I think, does just fine for a pistol. So don't think there's much reason for that. But, yeah. All right, everyone, so that about does it for this review. And, you know, mixed bag right now for me. Because of all these loose joint issues, I'll be honest with you, that's why I just have him standing here. I was trying to get him into some dynamic poses with the swords, and they just kept flopping around, so I said, screw it. I'm just going to have him stand up. So in that respect, I'm very disappointed that I'm going to have to do something about the loose joints. I don't think it'll be a problem. There's plenty of tricks out there for loose joints that I think I'll be able to get it taken care of. But it's annoying that at $45 for this figure, I shouldn't have to do anything with that. I understand that this is not a mass-produced, Hasbro scale figure. I understand it's a Kickstarter figure. But I want some basic functionality, and having those loose joints, just again, I can't even really pose them that much out of the box right now because of that. So that is a big downside to it. Taking in account some of the paint issues as well that I had with the mask there, where he just more looks like a toothless grayish blob on his face as opposed to a skull. That's kind of a bummer as well. Again, at $45, I would have liked it to come closer to the box art. The figure has some great posability. I like some of the things that they've done with the articulation. I love the way they did the ab crunch. I actually like the hand joints as well, with the exception that they pop out a little too easy. But there's some really interesting design choices that give this a whole different level of flexibility that we don't see with Marvel Legends or Multiverse in the 6-inch scale. So it's definitely a higher quality articulation method. The execution, like I said, just leaves a little to be desired. But with that being said, guys, that pretty much does it for this review. If you have any comments or if you have any of these articulated icons, let me know what you think of them, because I would be very interested to see if you've had similar issues. But leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you like this review, make sure to hit that like button. For more content just like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, guys, thank you for stopping by and watching my video, and have a great day.